what my astral body could do and by the desire to do it. And that is how you too can develop yourself. Simply dynamize the subconscious mind with a true knowledge of and desire for astral projection. With your mind so dynamized, go to sleep. You can saturate your subconscious mind with this knowledge and desire by way of the conscious. Think projection, practice projection, and read of projection over and over again. Go to sleep reading about it. Concentrate on going to sleep, on the route which the phantom will take when projected. This latter statement is very important, and I have found that once the mind is dynamized, it is one of the best possible forces tending towards success. But you could not have done this before, for no one had ever before told you the route which the phantom invariably takes in projecting until you read it in this book. Henceforth, whenever a dynamization of projection is mentioned, it simply means the saturation of the subconscious mind with the knowledge of and desire for projection of the astral body. And you cause the saturation of the subconscious mind by way of the conscious mind and the conscious will. What is will? What is the conscious will, you may ask? Allow me to quote C. Frank Leavitt. A lot of nonsense has been written about the cultivation of the will. Most books on the subject get a person nowhere, for they do not explain the process of willing. We have a habit of thinking that to will means making oneself do something, getting into action, effort. It does mean making oneself do something. It means getting into action mentally. It means effort of the attention. William James points out that this is all will amounts to: attention, simply to hold the attention upon a certain thought or idea until it fills the mind and crowds all other ideas out of the consciousness. You will have little trouble making yourself do a certain thing if no other idea is allowed to stay in your mind, for the ideas which impel one to action are those which dominate the consciousness, those which possess the attention. Think resolutely and determinedly. Make plans for carrying out your thoughts into action. Concentrate, shut out all opposing thoughts. In time, you will find yourself acting in accordance with these thoughts. After you have acquired this dynamization of projection, after you have your subconscious mind completely saturated with the knowledge of and the desire for projection of the astral body, then your hardest task is over. But remember, above everything else, that your mind must be dominated by this knowledge of and desire for that which you seek. Then the stress of it stays at the surface of that mind while you sleep. You have the knowledge of the art, and the desire stimulates the subconscious will, performing the projection. Typical dreams of projection. Dynamization of projection should produce a dream of projection, and always will if the astral body is in a particular conscious condition and the stress of projection is active during sleep. The substance of the dream of projection will depend upon the degree of understanding of projection in your mind. Therefore, it is of vital importance to have a thorough understanding of the phantom's actions and of its route after separation. Now do you see the fundamental principle of dream control, trying to dream a dream which is true concerning the phantom? The easiest way to produce such a dream is to have the understanding of and desire for projection take such a grip on your mind that you cannot go to sleep without thinking about it. Then, when you do go to sleep, the stress is still there. It is the stress which does the business. The stress in this case consists in suggesting the very thing you are trying to accomplish. You will remember that I stated that dream control was the easiest method of projecting the astral body. Now I'm telling you that dynamization of projection is the easiest method of dream control, for the dynamization of a desire for and knowledge of the astral body's movement will produce the proper dream. For many years my mind was completely dynamized with projection. In fact, I could think of nothing but projection of the astral body, and I would have dream after dream, night after night, that I was projecting in the astral body, and in many of these dreams I would become conscious while projected. In the dream of projection, I would sometimes dream that I was lying horizontal just above my body, even knowing in the dream that I was dreaming. That is the difficult thing to comprehend. And then I would dream of moving over the route which the phantom actually takes on projecting. One is so near true consciousness when he dreams that he's dreaming, and it is a dream of projection that true consciousness cannot seem to keep from intervening. And that is how most of my conscious projections came about. On other occasions the dream would vary. Instead of dreaming that I was rising in the astral body, I seemed to be standing to one side, watching the astral body project, and then, after a while, I would get into the astral body, sometimes continuing to dream of being there, and sometimes actually awakening in it. There are several possible, though purely theoretic, explanations which I might advance to account for this. Thus, I once noticed that the instant I dreamt of getting into the already projected astral body, I became conscious in that body. Keep in mind that consciousness withdraws from the astral body when unconsciousness is produced. It is not the astral body's withdrawal from the physical body which causes unconsciousness, never. For the astral body can be conscious outside the physical body, and the astral body can be unconscious outside the physical body, and the astral body can be unconscious within the physical body. Because the astral body moves into the zone of quietude during sleep, this does not in any sense denote that the astral body's withdrawal is the cause of unconsciousness. It merely occurs in that way, merely appears that way, but withdrawal of the astral body from the physical body and the intervention of unconsciousness, while usually occurring almost simultaneously, are entirely separate functions. If we became unconscious every time the astral body withdrew from the physical, there could be no such thing as conscious astral projection. As a matter of fact, many of us can, in the hypnagogic state, when entering sleep, move into the zone of quietude, perhaps only a quarter of an inch of this coincidence, and still be conscious, not realizing the fact that we have done so, and suddenly repercuss in the physical body. This is very common occurrence, because unconsciousness usually occurs when entering sleep. Just an instant before we make the transit into the zone of quietude, many occultists have seized upon the idea that the withdrawal of the astral body is the cause of unconsciousness, but this is a mistake. It is true also that we can be unconscious in the physical body for some time before the astral body moves into the zone of quietude. This is especially true when the body is under the influence of some stimulant. Thus, there are exceptions to the rule as to when the astral body moves into the zone of quietude, the rule being that it does so immediately after unconsciousness has set in. In some persons it moves sooner, in others later, depending entirely upon the condition of the individual at the time. One can see that in order to have a conscious projection, conscious from the beginning, one should be of the type or makeup which begins to make the transit into the zone of quietude before unconsciousness sets in. This condition of the individual is brought about by several factors, temperament, incapacity, etc., as we have already seen. Knowing that it's the withdrawal of consciousness from the astral body which produces unconsciousness, we might in this manner account for the dream in which one dreams that he is projected in the astral body but is apart from that body, looking on, because the real consciousness is apart from that body. And this theory becomes still more probable in those cases when one has a dream of projection wherein he is apart from the astral body looking on, watching its movements, and then getting into the body and being conscious in that body the moment he dreams of getting into it. Now, if full consciousness withdraws from the body when the astral body is unconscious, consciousness must be partially withdrawn from the body when it's partially conscious. And in a dream of this nature, when one dreams that he is watching the astral body's movement and then gets into it, is it not possible that a portion of the consciousness which was withdrawn from the body actually understood? Or perhaps even a more refined body, coinciding with the astral body, could withdraw in such a dream and look on as the astral body followed its route, then go over and get into the astral body again. Footnote: this would correspond, of course, to the mental body of the Theosophists and might be said to afford some direct experimental evidence in favor of the reality of such a body. H.C. End of footnote. At any rate, these are the two typical dreams of projection which I had when dreaming of projection. First, dreaming that I was in the astral body, moving over the route the phantom takes while projecting. Second, dreaming that I stood apart from the astral body, watching the astral body go over the route, and that I would then get into it. If you will think back, you will recall that I mentioned that one can sometimes see the astral body from the physical eyes because of the circuit of sight running across the astral cable. Now, if one can see this while conscious, why not while partially conscious, and thus dream that he is standing to one side watching the astral body move? For my part, I believe that this is a plausible explanation of such a dream of projection, when we dream that we are watching the astral body project. The most direct way, and certainly the most sensible way of creating the proper stress in the subconscious mind, which will suggest itself during sleep, is the way that I have just pointed out, that is, dynamization of projection. Why, I would ask you, should you go to the trouble of saturating your mind with a habit which is unrelated to projection of the astral body, merely because the stress of that habit will impress the subconscious will, when you can saturate your mind in the same manner with a desire for and knowledge of the art, and thus being able to dream directly of what is occurring, instead of dreaming of some habit, for example, your routine. How to instill the stress of routine. However, if you wish to put a stress of routine into your subconscious mind, which will assert itself while you sleep, you must direct all your